Toby, you okay?
Hi Kerry, all right? Good, thanks.
Yeah, good, thank you. I was sitting just below you in the commentary sections on Saturday, and I looked up final whistle. Massive smile across your face. What a fantastic game of rugby.
Yeah, no, I've heard it referred to in TV commentary of must have been a great game because I smiled twice. And I got referred to as Charles Bronson from Death Wish because my facial expressions normally don't change. So yeah, quite an accolade indeed. No, obviously delighted for the result. As you say, what a game that was. And yeah, I'm not sure how much of that was coachable, but to get on the right side of that result and is very encouraging, but also very motivating for everybody. So that's great.
And how much pride does it give you to do the double over the French champions?
Yeah, massive. It's a good accolade to have personally, that we got it strategically right, to make sure we've managed the team well and the messaging and all that sort of stuff, and the players that bought in and delivered it, and led brilliantly by Justin Tipperick, both as a leader but also in his actions, and everyone's got behind him and the team, and we've performed very well in 2 games and got 2 really good results.
A small matter of the English champions next then, the job not done on Friday. You just need a point to get into the knockouts. They beat you at home. What can you learn from that game that you'll take up there on Friday?
The number one thing was around discipline. I thought we reviewed that game, and the most disappointing thing about that game for us was we thought we gave away stuff too cheaply. We had some offside penalties, and we didn't react well enough to the referee actually. And to be fair, we spoke about that a lot post going into Montpellier the following game, about how we needed to be more adaptive around the referee and what he was looking for. So that served us. The lesson served us well. However, we're going to need to make sure that we don't give away stuff for free, especially when you go to Welford Road, which I know well from my previous life, is a great venue, a great rugby playing city, with a very, very good team in the middle of it. So yeah, it's going to be tough.
A win could see you guys get a home tie. What would that mean to you guys and the fans to bring knockout rugby to Swansea? Yeah,
it'd be awesome, wouldn't it? Of course, and when there's a lot of doom and gloom over Welsh rugby and bits and pieces, the more positivity we can bring to the whole thing is fantastic, and hopefully give people something to cheer about. But you can't look past the challenge that's right in front of you. They are a very, very good team, very well coached, very well organised, very specific on what they do, very disciplined in what they do. So yeah, it's going to be a real challenge, as we saw when we played them at home, and you've seen since with Leinster. If you think about what they've done, they've won 2 away games already, which in old money used to be the key to succession. They've already qualified. They're looking for home last 16 games and bits and pieces. And they're one of the form sides in Europe. So we know, as well as being English champions, there's a lot of things to overcome against a very good team.
You mentioned doom and gloom there. There are still challenges off the pitch, but it was fantastic to see the 4 Welsh regions being a force in Europe again at the weekend. Yeah,
I mentioned it in the press conference after the game that it was great that the regions were almost responding to adversity in a way, and keeping the main things, and that's a testament to the regions and the people involved with them to rise above the challenges that are out there, and keep putting themselves out there to win rugby games, and that I think gives everyone in Welsh rugby a boost, a shot in the arm, if you like, to keep doing what we're doing.
Any injury concerns for Friday? We saw Rhys Webb leave the field early last weekend. You said Kieran Williams had a dent against Leinster. Are they likely to be back?
Webby probably not. It'll be a week too soon for him, I think, which is understandable. But Ruben's gone on and deputised brilliantly for him. I've got no qualms around that. It's a great opportunity for him. Kieran Williams is okay. He's trained fully today.
What about the other players that missed the Montpellier game? Are they fit again?
Who are we referring to? Morgan Morris.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Morgan Morris is good.
Ethan
Roots is not good. He's still nursing a severe dead leg. He's not too far away, but he's getting back there. But I think everyone else is getting there or thereabouts. And Steve Myler trained today, so we're starting to get some people back off the injury list, which is always nice. Which is handy when 14 people are disappearing out the door.
I was going to come to that. Warren Gatland, in his first ever Welsh squad, named 13 Ospreys in his first squad. It was a record at the time, but he's got one more this time, and you must have sort of mixed feelings as a head coach of the Ospreys to lose 14 players.
Well, Wayne's last one was 15, so I suppose, grateful for certain things. Look, it's the way I view it is we've got a programme that wants to develop the person, develop the player to maximise their talent and to go as far as they can, right? So from that point of view, it's a great advert of what we're doing here, the programme, the people and the players that we've got. So I'm not going to get too despondent about it. The conversation about playing, a number of games without players, in a short competition is for another day. I don't want that to either detract from the boys' achievement and also from what we have to do on Friday. So from that point of view, it's the biggest compliment. We'll take the compliment. I actually was expecting it to be potentially more, and as I said on social media personally yesterday, we absolutely celebrate the achievement of the people that have, and we commiserate with the people that didn't.
Yeah, can Nicky Smith feel a bit hard done by given the way he's been playing?
You said that, not me. No, so from our point of view, he's been one of our form players, but Nicky's been around the block. He understands it. Our job is to try and get Nicky back there and keep doing that. He's performed exceptionally well. Everyone's mentioned around his scrummaging and obviously that being a very strong part of our game. But we've had this situation before. Reece Webb getting back in now. He's one. Adam Beard, we've had it with. George North, we've had it with. Gareth Anscombe, we've had it with. So, it's part and parcel of what you have to get over, and managing the player and helping support the player to get back to their best and keep knocking on the door, so when the opportunity comes, they're ready.
Gatland said this week that Owen Williams forced himself in. He wasn't looking at him until the sort of Leinster Montpellier games.
Yeah. Well, we've talked about it previously, having a quarterback, a figurehead that can lead from the front and deliver that level of performance. And it's difficult when you've got young players in those very pivotal positions learning their trade. And he's connected to our recent run of good form, and as you said, not just that, the Welsh derbies, the Leicester pre-game, even though we came second in that competition, to play as well as we did. He's been involved with a lot of those performances. So from that point of view, we're delighted for him, and he's now, I think long term, obviously, if getting acknowledged by Wales means that hopefully, as we're all trying to do, he'll stay around, which would be awesome for us.
And last one from me, are you a little surprised that Justin Tipuric wasn't named the captain, given how well he's led for you guys?
Not surprised. That's a coach's prerogative, and there's a lot of historical. It doesn't mean that everyone's going to play the game, and I know people get fixated about who captains are. You need a lot of leadership on the pitch. I've not spoken to Justin about it. I didn't think it was relevant, and he's more focused on what happens on Friday, to be fair. But you've got a lot of senior players in that group, lots of experience, in there, and I'm sure they'll all get an opportunity to lead in their own way. Whoever has the armband means something, but as you know, front rowers often leave the pitch at 50 minutes anyway, so it's going to require a lot of team management and leadership, not just an individual.
So there'll be one quick one from me before Mark comes on. Ruben was talking just now about just how tough and challenging this kind of block of matches have been. I think you've mentioned it yourself as well. If I look at last weekend, as well as the 4 Welsh wins, I think 13 of the 16 URC sides won, which is pretty remarkable, really. So I guess the question is, what is that saying about the way in which you as URC teams are being prepared for Europe by, I guess, the competitiveness and the derbies over Christmas and the intensity of it all.
Yeah, I think it speaks volumes, to be fair. And we talked about the South African teams coming into URC and raising the bar, and they certainly have done that. And we have to respond. And when you go in, the one thing that the URC gives you, we're used to playing different places, different countries, lots of travel, lots of different things, right? And that provides a certain resilience and adaptability. You have to adapt to different refereeing, different continents, and look, none of us have quite mastered it going either way, for example, but it's a thing, and Europe is, if you think, is quite close to that. So I think that it provides some of the challenges that you need to face on a weekly basis, so it becomes more normal. However, the other thing to that is the physicality element of all these competitions. Europe, the Premiership's physical, the French top 4 is physical. So I think the South African inclusion has something to do with that, for sure, because we have to understand how we can compete physically, because not often we've got bigger teams, so we have to work out what our strengths and weaknesses are around that and manipulate situations. So I think it provides good learning opportunities. I think it allows us to look at doing things slightly differently to make us more robust and more resilient. So I think the URC format does allow us, not a greater chance, but at least an opportunity to be very competitive in Europe, for sure.
That block since the end of the autumn when you went to South Africa to now, rounding up with Leicester, where does that rank in kind of periods you've experienced as a coach?
This is the hardest period of my coaching career, without doubt. In relation to opposition, in relation to off-field challenge, in relation to unknowns and uncertainty, without doubt this has been the hardest part of my career. And when I get a chance to reflect on it, I'm sure there'll be some good learnings. Hopefully I can make a note of them and not have to learn them again. But that's the beauty of coaching. That's why we do what we do. It's not straightforward, and you have to find a way. And that's me individually, us as a coaching group, us as a region, and everyone else within it.
That's lovely. Thanks for your time, Toby.
Cheers. Thank you.
Toby has a Charles Bronson looking.
I didn't say that. What I said was there's no facial expression. I didn't say that. Let's be clear. With that.
Okay.
And it's not my quote either.
No. I listened to it. Did you feel at any point like turning your gun on someone as all those tries were running? Justin was saying later your defence is usually so good. And what was going on last week? Well,
again, I think if I'm without doubt I did, because you want to make things as straightforward as possible. What I think everyone got caught up in the game a little bit. I think it was a bit, to use football parlance, a bit more Kevin Keegan. We'll score 4, you'll score 5, and all this sort of stuff. And basically, we were in front when the clock ran out. So from that point of view, there was an element which is great about sport, but from a coaching point of view, and as Justin has mentioned as a captain, it's an absolute disaster because you can't get any certainty. I'm not worried in relation to that. I think it's a respect to Montpellier, who have that power, like Leinster did the week before, and we were very resilient for long periods. What we do need to be better at is making ourselves harder to break down for longer. I thought that was the one thing that we've talked about this week and worked on, is little bits and pieces to make ourselves not as vulnerable as quickly. If people want to score against us, they've got to work for their money for longer, as it were. So there's definitely some truth in it, but I think the contest itself lent itself to that. With so many changes in the lead, I think people got carried away and caught up in that, but that's what's exciting about sport, and fortunately for us, we were on the right side this time, which was great.
And with Nicky, you mentioned him, but I guess Morgan Morris as well, who's been playing really well for you, was a little bit unlucky. How'd you go about lifting these guys?
I've put Keelan Giles in that as well, to be fair. I mean, there's three players for us that have performed exceptionally well. So look, unfortunately there's only so many that goes around, and the controllables, of course we're very empathetic, and like you say, we've got history of changing those situations, which we can give them courage for, but this is where your environment. It's not necessarily just the coaches, but the medics and the S&C guys, and you know their teammates rally round because they know what it feels like. So we can't change that, but all we can do is get them ready. So if an opportunity does come along, and you know you're always only one injury away, that they're in a position that they can go and grab the opportunity with both hands. I think Nicky's been unbelievably good for us this year, and I understand why people have asked the questions, and he feels hard done by. But that's a question for Warren. All Nicky can do is play well on Friday and be ready.
Yeah, and as the head coach of the Ospreys, Toby, do you always feel when you're 5 yards out, if the ball goes to Morgan Morris, do you think, Craigie, we've got a chance of scoring you?
I do.
It seems so dangerous close to the line.
I do. Yeah, I do. I think that we're very good in that close proximity. If you look at our red zone conversion rate in opposition 22, it's high. You know. So, and he's part of that. Dowie Lake's very good in that area. We've got some big, you know, powerful forwards. They end up finishing off a lot of the good work, and you know, when we've got people like Alex Cuthbert and George North, for example, Joe Hawkins, Kieran Williams, we've got some powerful backs that can share the workload. So, yeah, without doubt, Morgan definitely knows where the try line is for sure.
Yeah, it's got a bit under the radar. George's turnover as well in the last second.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather have not been there. I mean, that whole sequence of the last 3 minutes probably epitomises the game, right? You know, where you don't take the three, you go to the corner, you play, you score, and then you just got to close the game out. You turn the ball over, and then we have to work exceptionally hard to get it. But that's why it was such an enthralling contest and great entertainment. It put another 5 years on each member of the coaching staff, but that's something slightly different.
So just wrapping up, really, which youngsters are you looking forward to seeing, you know, during the international block?
Well, I mean, obviously the ones that are obvious, you know, Joe Hawkins' second campaign, Jack Morgan's second campaign back to back. I know he's had earlier exposure, so when you become a regular, it requires different things. So I'm always excited to see those two kick on and how they go, and then obviously how they come back. And then you're obviously drawn to Rhys Davis and Kieran Williams being involved for the, you know, officially for the first time. I know Rhys has been up there and trained for injury and bits and pieces. To see those two guys get on the pitch is a great reflection for us all, and you know, on deserved form really, and that's always a good reinforcement of the programme and how we've been performing. And I suppose the one that I really, you know, is Webby. I think Webby's certainly, I know he's not a young player, far from it, and he'd be the first to hate me for saying it, but you know, he's a guy who's kept battling and not let his performance dip despite having massive disappointment. And he's a great advert for those young players about resilience and about never losing faith in what you're doing, and leading from the front wherever you can, whatever the circumstances you find yourself in. So I think there's a lot of good messaging in there, and I'm excited to see those boys, you know, step up with their opportunity, or in Webby's case, you know, get involved and show what he can do.